You don't understand the importance of a team. For instance, if we take the American football, each player has a designated purpose, a function they must perform in order for the team to succeed. While each player's slot, they will not be as effective. They are not precisely interchangeable. In soccer, except for the goalkeeper, the players are by and large interchangeable. In American football, as I said, the players are not interchangeable as such. While each player can catch and run the ball, but that's not their primary purpose. Only a few players assign a position based upon the abilities to fulfill that position function. For instance, linebacker, tight end, tackles, quarterback, safety, wide receiver, center, and so on have different positions within the team. Their goal is to use their designated abilities and win the game. When it comes to in baseball, there are certain skill sets for each position. In outfield, it's running to catch the ball and the ability to throw the ball a long way. Shortstop must have quick reflexes and good ball control. The catcher must be able to catch and monitor the field and the batter to devise best strategies. All forms of baseball in this are the same worldwide. So in baseball, you can't make the pitcher to be the catcher or vice versa. You can't make the shorter in the middle to take a different position. Those people specialized in their roles. They are given and they excel at. If you remove the catcher or the pitcher and not replacing it with the right person who is trained to fit the position, that's a mega hole, a humongous gap, and you won't be effective as a team, and you will lose big time. Now coming to my point, I want to hammer the importance of being a team and the failure of, sorry to say this, TMH in North America that makes us somehow less effective. To all the Tigrian people, pay attention, observe, listen. The enemy is using your own platform, your own media, the target segment that exists mainly to serve the Tigrian people and beyond. The enemy is approaching you in a subtle way by plotting a destructive message on your Tigray media house or TMH media platform, because that's where you can be found easily to be targeted and maneuver to the direction of the enemy wants you to take. Remember, we are in a warfare, and most of the defeats are happening virtually through the psychological war in the social media. Therefore, please protect your mind and the mind of others if you can. Let us say the venue you and your opponents meet at your own turf, at your own comfort zone, that you least expect the enemy's presence on your terrain, on your secure ground, where you usually interact with for update information and home news through the media. Not just any media, but the image media. The one media you follow up with, that you trust for its confidentiality, as you build your trust over the course of time, that you have the credentiality that you build. That's what I want to say. As you build, as you know them, and you have the confidence, this particular media exceptionally works towards the betterment of Tigray people. That's why you support and contribute financially to its existence, as you benefit from it. Because you believe the importance of exchanging information, empowering people, and most importantly, having a voice to be heard in this order as people in Tigray are combating a war. At the same time, innocent children, pregnant women, mothers, elders, and the young are suffering from lack of food supply and the safety of their lives as they are in danger and abused by the military of Ethiopia. With all deliberate communication blackout by the illegitimate Ethiopian caretaker Abiy Ahmed, who is operating a world crime, attacking, killing, mass massacring civilians in Tigray and across the borders of Ethiopians every single day. The media is therefore a very powerful tool and weapon to defeat our enemies when used professionally, appropriately, effectively, and responsibly. The enemy has understood the power people have when using the media appropriately and effectively to connect with people, to connect with your audience and make a difference. Because we did it, it became a disaster to our all 21st century enemies, as it's an offense that affects them to shook their ground as we unfold the unspoken truths, the real truths happening in Ethiopia. That's why they are mobilizing globally all their lobbyists through the media and all their mercenaries in the ground in Tigray to attack and kill civilians in Tigray as the enemy's damage control mechanism to balance power, as well as to punish us with their revenge because we speak the truth. That's why for the last consecutive weeks, Tigrian people are oppressed and attacked virtually as a new outbreak flew and killed right, left, center in Tigray. And lots of brutal murder happened as a revenge, with the intention to silence our voices, to project fear and pain, so that to discourage us from fighting them. Fighting for our freedom and rights to live. As people of Tigray, we are perplexed, but not crushed. Neither we retreat nor surrender. We'll speak out our truths fearlessly and boldly. Our life without freedom is imprisonment. Not living, it's just existing. And we want our life to live it. So we'll keep on fighting until the enemies are stop killing our people and leave our ground. Are you standing by? Are you standing in unity, in solidarity to support people in Tigray? They are facing danger and death. Or are you behind the scene working against them to their harm in serving the enemy in exchange to meet your own self-centeredness and selfish desire? What the people of Tigray and TPLF miss out is the cunning potential of our enemies. Believe it or not, this is how I see it. As I observe, TMH is a power balancer for the enemy, and that is so disappointing. Number one, back in February 2020, when TPLF and the Ethiopian Orthodox Church scared the hell out of our enemies, Abiy Ahmed has been called out promptly to Dubai and speak to the Ethiopian hard workers there in one of the stadiums as their damage control mechanism. And Dr. Abraham has been sent to Washington, D.C. and appear at TMH. What we call that is a damage control and power balancer. Yes, TMH is used as a power balancer for the enemy. Number two, when the election in Tigray, regardless of all the threats, have achieved its goal peacefully, Your enemy tries to stir up conflict by making a noise. When did they use TMH and your own people? I mean, yeah. When did they use? Whenever something is happening. Whenever TPLF or Tigray people are winning. And whom did they use? And your own people, it's TMH, and your own people that you might have entitled this person or this guy as PR. Personal relation, or for the media, or for on the behalf of Tigray people, or TDA, whatever, that. Putting a wrong person at the wrong time is a big mistake. Not correcting the mistake brings a disaster. This is a fatality that costs people's life. Because the wrongs that has been already existed continues without to change and correct the wrong. Number 3, when I disclose classified information and the way to go forward, how to win this battle, that's a big punch to the enemy. In the frustration, what mechanism and strategy did they use to save their defeat? Again, TMH and your own wrong person. Sometimes I wonder why don't ban this person from using the platform. Do you want to help your enemies? The message of hatred and division and that have been insisted for Tigrayan people to act and react sounds a setup by the enemy. Therefore, every time TPLF and Tigrayan people wins, TMH North America is dragging the achievement and hold you to sit in the back seat than in the driver's seat and prolong the suffering of the people of Tigray. That is the only reason why TPLF achievements are forced to have a short-lived effect than to last long. Had not been this gap, victory should have been without going to a war, I would say, a displacement in the days of our people. That could be prevented somehow. The war in Tigray by itself is a setup. Everything about this war is how much of a deceive you can take and accommodate, or you remain alert not to be tricked by the enemy's plot. Never ever forget that. If you go back and watch your video records a few weeks prior to the American election, Dr. Tigray appeared twice on TMH and gave indispensable insight, saying no to engage in a war. There is no reason to go to the war. He was right. We said it again and again. Dr. Tigray and Professor Ezekiel are reliable people, a man of character. Their inputs are priceless. The enemy, realizing the thermostat that Donald Trump is not to win 2020 election, was looking an excuse to go in and beaten up TPLF. However, since he wants to cover himself, that's wrong to open a war towards a peaceful people in an area that's more stable. The enemy subtly trying to put his ill motives here and there to entice the war to start from TPLF side, so that he can take the excuse to go in. Having said that, go back and refer your video library at TMH, the interview you had with Dr. Ginodine Joar. He's one of among a few who appeared at TMH, give a good input. However, on his last interview, he mentioned and encouraged for TPLF by saying, quote unquote, So far they are just defending. Now they should go ahead and start attack. This is 10 days prior to the United States election. He added by now they should have been attacking and be in war. That kind of comment shouldn't be just ignored. What is the motive? This person is giving his opinion for Tigray people to go and start a war. It's the Tigrayan people and the leaders who's gonna die. So you have to be wise. That is a subplot. The man has no reason to openly encourage the Tigrayans on media to start a war, unless that's being the puppet of Abiy Ahmed. That was one of the setup trial, subtly catered, I would say. This is my personal opinion. But it didn't achieve its goal. Because the war in Tigray is colonialism. It didn't achieve because the Tigrayan people didn't take that step. But the enemies try everything to exploit you, to manipulate and deceive you. They can use anybody. Unless you pay attention and listen, you will miss that. And will pay the price. This is the truth. Colonialism is what's going on. And they don't want others to know this truth. Therefore, they hinder the truth, they hinder our peace, they hinder our freedom, they hinder our democracy and justice. With the bias and narrative say they hinder the truth. They circulate globally as they are controlling the mainstream media of print and other medias. So our voices are silenced one way or the other. That's why we hear the distorted information or the lie quite often than the truth. There's a lack of professionalism. There's a lack of integrity and loyalty. People, even though they know the truth, they are selling their soul to restore the truth in exchange with money. We are in a time full of deception. We as Tigrayan people are holding to the power of the truth that sets us free, and we choose to fight for our freedom as those conspirators and criminal groups plan to enslave our future. It's for these reasons. For the last 2 weeks, the revenge is out towards all Tigrayans, locally by piddling our people. So it's for those reasons. For the last 2 weeks, the revenge is out towards all Tigrayans. Like I said, locally by killing our people brutally, and globally by attacking and controlling medias that serves the Tigrayan community with the aim to silence our voice, to create confusion and division. That way to weaken and defeat the people of Tigray, and to threaten also for people to lose the trust, to question, to be suspicious of other people. So this is a strategy. By attacking and using your own platform against you. The ethnic and human rights abuse towards the people of Tigray is being committed by world leaders' organized crime. History will tell, and we will keep on fighting those criminals who are mercilessly harming our people. We'll fight them also to secure our ground as they approach the media. Tigrian people are using, and somehow the image reflects, is used by its enemy, partially taken over somehow. As long as their message is transmitted through your media, the enemy has a plot, the enemy has a space, the enemy has an airtime by using your people against you. So somehow partially it's surrendered. Secure your ground, secure your resources, not to be exploited by the enemy, not to be taken over, because that's how defeat has come. No matter how the leaders in Tigray are fighting, if there is a weak spot in this side, the war cannot be won, because everything is intertwined. Unless you see as a team, whatever we do, wherever we are, affects others and affects the whole situation, the war cannot be won. So pay attention. As we realize lately, the gap that exists from the diaspora side, that the MH is, I would say, failing in implementing its mission to serve and benefit the Tigrian people in these challenging moments. If you see someone is doing wrong, unless you confront it and alter, if you keep going and let the other person to do the damage, that's a failure. It cannot pass through the test of time. Our opinion is that any negligence or delayed action to do the damage control and prevent it from happening again will be a disaster and costly. The least you can do is to create awareness to your people to be careful with certain people's message or through the image media, or to be careful with the image media correctly. If the tone is not what you adhere, what your mission is, you have to inform your people. Otherwise, you will destroy your battle achievement with your own hands, since the image can trap your people towards your defeat. Sometimes cleaning your own house and making it right at times is necessary. Ignoring such danger is towards your fall. Be very careful. Understand who our enemies are. Know your enemy well. Know their motives, know their patterns. This is not rocket science. It's visible. It can be detected. It can be smelled, it can be seen when the wrongs are done. So stop the wrongs. So our recommendation is simple. Get out of your denial. The very first outspoken person appeared on the image media with all his agitation, whining and complaining about the election result in Tigray back in August 2020, was given another chance the same week, as if nothing happened. Well, it should be questioned, the motive behind for his reaction. What kind of image had he tried to portray? I'm a person who advocates freedom of speech and respect people's different perspectives. I have no issue on that. I support everybody on that. What I always focus is the motive behind a person's heart. Sometimes you could tell, otherwise nobody knows about what's in people's heart. But unless we are denial, it's feasible. We can see it. With the tone of their voice, with the agitation, the body language, it's telling. With the setup, you could tell what they want to communicate is not related with the issue, but there is behind something. So pay attention. The people in Tigray, including TPLF leaders, went through a lot for over 2 years. Betrayal, rejection, character assassination. Endured a severe psychological war that caused emotional pain. One can imagine a nation turned against you and labeled you Mboch, Yekanji, cancer. All the toxic words were a reflection of an excessive hatred. Blocking a road with an intention to cut Tigrayan people from getting a food supply, aiming to let people starve, is inhumane. It's happened way before the war, 2 years ago, and continued. Regardless of the ground oppressive situation, losing their general through assassination, and all the threats by the Ethiopian caretaker and illegitimate leader in the federal court, saying, we're gonna beat you up. All the people in Tigray standing in unity and solidarity and fighting the good fight together with TPLF and achieving the election peacefully despite the pandemic. COVID is the highest achievement. And it's historical if you see it globally. It's easy to talk. It's easy to act and react. The question is, do you have what it takes? And if you do, are you willing to do it? People in Tigray and the TPLF leaders have what it takes and gave it all. So for a person sitting in his comfort zone and to go out in the media with a negative energy was not just a complaint. He was quick to show what he is made of. The flag, the background setup in that video. On his claim, the Tigray election result was inaccurate, could tell a lot about this guy. I don't know for sure, he might have a point on the election. My focus was when the issue is not the issue. We have seen lots of con artists and lobbyists who has a dual face. This person that appears quite often on TMH reminds me of a card game. In the card game we have the Joker, and the Joker is used as a wild card. The wild card can be anything. It is the only way you could have 5 aces in a 5-card hand, which means it's the only way to beat a royal flush. The royal flush is the highest hand in poker without wild card. Joker is the original wild card, the unpredictable and the uncertainty of those people's characters also exhibited in the Joker. When you get it, the Joker, you get something good. If you don't get it, that means if you don't get the Joker, there's always a next hand, as long as you have the money. Maybe you will draw the Joker yourself and have that wild card. The people who play Joker is hard to trace until they score a point and make you lose the game. It shows clearly in the recent damage by the same person. So pay attention, be alert. Deception is the art of the game that our enemies are good at, and they can use anybody to deceive you. Without image questioning, evaluating, and discerning the person's motive and giving him an airtime consistently that he entertained to entice the people of Tigray to take a dangerous move, as he pronouncedly offered, pushed, and encouraged the people of Tigray to act and react. That proves the biggest failure of the image, as it avails itself, because You forgot we are in a warfare, and our enemies will use any trick he can to lure you into his trap. He will use everything and anyone who can agree to go with the enemy's plan for different reasons. Never ever forget that. A trust issue is one thing that we can't afford to entertain at this critical moment. The bodies Tigray as people called, no matter how TPLF, the great people of Tigray and beyond, doing their best to end this war, and lots of victories achieved. If there is one bad apple, it's enough to destroy everything that has been achieved and lead to pay more price. This needs immediate attention. Or the media propaganda pandemic in several languages that has been going on for weeks, including the man appearing on MH, as well as all the voices invading the Tigrian media, the debit and so on, whatever, as enemy's damage control mechanism to the truths we disclosed. Don't freak out. Just pay attention. Don't give them power. Ignore them. However, the masked man at MH is a power balancer in working to back up our enemies. This is I'm saying again, and I hammer it, I see it that way, because that's how it's unfolding. If I'm wrong, I'll stand to be corrected, but somebody has to say something to my argument. How can people stay blind? Is it because he speaks your language? The worst damage is only happening through your own people. As long as you don't correct the mistakes, you have to know you have lots of enemies on this stake who wants you to your defeat. The damage continues. I personally is pissed off on this, because such carelessness and negligence is becoming tangibly costly even to our people, even to our people's life, and even with our pace in changing the situation as we try working hard at least to contribute a little bit. We disclose the classified information to spare our people's life and to stop